because I don't know. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Dr. Wale, you can start, then the other one will come along.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Well, good afternoon, Suriname. Good evening, Uganda. And I am here in New York City. It's still morning. I arrived on Friday, and I'm still recovering. My voices are still echoing in my ears because I have one of those syndromes when you are, when the plane is descending, you get your ear blocked. I tried every trick to get it away, but it's still there. And plus, I have a little bit of symptoms of cold and flu, which I'm nursing right now. So bear with me if my voice sounds a little alien. But I am very overjoyed to have you all here. I'm very happy to have met you. You guys are just beautiful and wonderful. And I thank you for all your hospitalities and commitment. I was very eager to introduce you to Sarah. Sarah is really the pioneer of our student chapter. We've tried to establish this student chapter for about 13 years. And everyone that has tried it have not been successful until Sarah came along. Sarah was the first one to establish it. And with that, she is grandfathered into the presidency of the student chapter. Because of her experience, she will be able to guide you as to how it was done in her school. She also is tasked with making sure other schools adopt the African Views student chapter. Sarah is very dynamic. You'll get to know some of the things that she's doing. We're all very proud of her. And I know that she will be a good inspiration to many students, as well as encourage you all to fulfill your dreams, your visions, and with great passion. This is what African Views is all about. And we want to make sure that you accelerate in your academic affairs. We want to make sure that you're exemplary as a student as well as an achiever in your country. So with that, I'll just give a small overview of what Suriname is so that Sarah can have the full understanding of where you are and who you are. So Suriname is a South American country, one of the northernmost countries on the South American continent. The country is very unique and very diverse. Diverse in the sense that it has the basis of the Amerindians, who were the original occupiers of the land, and they all have different tribes within the Amerindians. And then came the enslaved, who, of course, broke into so many tribes as well, many of which marooned away into the Amazon forest and have been able to keep the African cultures and traditions intact in various forms, in forms that have been forgotten today. This makes Suriname incredibly unique. Then came the waves of the indentured laborers, which included the Indians from the British connection to the Dutch, and then the Indonesians, who was colonized also by the Dutch. The Chinese came about 10 years earlier, before the Indians, also through the connection of the British. And who else? So we have remnants of Europeans there, including some Jewish people who migrated from Brazil. So, I mean, this gives you an overview of the fact that Suriname is a very diverse country. What is important here is to ensure that the African community of Suriname, first of all, we are constructing the Afro-Surinamese identity, which we believe has been lacking in Suriname. The reason for this is very simple, is the fact that the Afro-Surinamese identity is really a savior for Suriname because of the currently fractured situation between the African community. The coming together of the African Afro-Surinamese and the construction of Surinamese identity becomes very, very important to ensure the necessary global access for Suriname through these African cultural ties. It allows the Afro-Surinamese to have access to all the various African development, all the various African markets, all the various African development that's happening around the world. And this is a two-way traffic also for Africans around the world to have access to Suriname, to support the cultural development, to support trades, and to ensure that there is a peaceful harmony between all the people of Suriname, also within the people of African descent in Suriname, to ensure proper development, to ensure the knowledge about self and identity, to ensure an improved and accelerated civilization of the Afro-Surinamese people, and to facilitate new opportunity for trades, for logistics, for diplomatic relations, etc. And it starts always from the academia, even though, as you know, in African Views, we start even earlier with the children, and I'm sure with the student chapter here, we'll also be able to do all our programs for children and youth through the student chapter. So while we were attending the Global Conference on Slavery and Indentured Labor, I was fortunate, we were fortunate to meet so many incredible people. Among them is the people present here today who are students of the Anton De Kom University of Suriname. They were volunteering, and they were just so wonderful that we spent time together, we talked together, and we came up with the idea of establishing an African Views student chapter in Suriname, which they embraced. So that here we are. As to how we go about it, getting started, getting registered, getting recognized, and then the programmatics. I will explain the programmatics. I have sent you the manual, I've sent you some of the documents, how you promote it, how you establish it, etc. But Sarah has a direct experience on how it has happened. I've given the same information to her, and she was able to establish it. And because of that, also, you will be working directly with her since she is the president of the Student Chapter International. You will be working with her. You'll be able to duplicate programs, I mean, things that they've been done over there that you're going to be able to do. But keep in mind that you are number 2 in line in Suriname, and it's fine for Uganda to be number 1. Now, there's going to be a lot of schools who are going to join into this. We hope it would be in all schools. But this is where we start. And what you do together is something that they're going to learn from and be able to continue to do. So we want you to really do your best. And I think this is a wonderful alliance. Who would have thought, you know, Uganda connecting with Suriname? And of course, you would know Uganda is called the Pearl of Africa. Uganda is in East Africa, one of the most vibrant cities of East Africa. It's a very strong traditional country with several traditional kings. And it's also important to know, okay, that so many people were also imported and enslaved from East Africa into the New World. As I had mentioned during the conference, there was an enslaver called Tip from Tanzania, and he had gone through Uganda and and shipped a lot of people to the New World through DRC, Angola, and Mozambique. So a lot of many of these cultures have blended together to form what we have today. No one is going to do this research for us. Anthropologists are at the mercy of undocumented, unfiltered pulling together of people enslaved. And as you know, we have started some digital programs that would analyze where, to the extent that we can, where people were taken, how many were taken, how many got onto the boat, and how many arrived at the shore and which shores. This is very important because we know that half of the people that are cargoed um, often don't make it to the new world. They die for many reasons. So it is all of this trauma that we need to present collectively together to understand the impact of slavery and the layered impact of colonization on the people of African descent in the New World. So Suriname becomes incredibly important. And all of this we can't pronounce without commending the tenacity, the strength, the resilience of the Afro-Surinamese people that have survived in the harshest conditions of the Amazons, harshest conditions of the new political climate, the colonial era, all of those challenges. Um, and the question then becomes, in today's world, how do we manage, how do we reconcile all of those irreconcilable experiences? An experience that is impossible to heal, even though we say impossibility is not part of the equation, but we know that the experience is very, very deep. Even as a young person who is grown up to understand all of this or grappling with it, you look at the conditions and you look at the dynamics of cultural diversity that you have, you see disparities, and you wonder, how is it like this? And all the things that are said about people of African descent, why are they like that, and so on and so forth. I gotta assure you that no one can go through what the African people went through and still be able to stand today. And that's why we are looking for resolutions. That's why we are working towards understanding. That's why we are working towards reparations and restitutions. That's why we're working towards healing, so that we can have a country that is filled with harmony. We can have a country that is encouraged to move the world to a better place. So the challenge then rests really with all of us um, as human beings, not just as African people, as human beings, to ensure that the those among us, especially the Africans who have suffered greatly from generations to generations, are able to be healed. And we are working together to make sure that this healing takes place without hindrance, without competition or necessary competition or distractions, to make sure that we have resources and programmatics in place that would help and ensure spelling out a perfect peace, a perfect harmony, and a perfect development of a people, of a nation, of a society, you know, so that Africans too can produce at their maximum level and contribute towards the development of a state like Suriname or a continent like South America or even the world. So we're so lucky, and I've told you also stories of how Suriname was exemplary even at the United Nations. When Ambassador Henry McDonald's was at the UN, he did some marvelous, marvelous things. You need to know the things that he did. One of the things that he worked on was in the SDGs was the SDG 5 for the advancement of women, gender equality. He worked so hard on that. He was one of the people that crafted the language of Agenda 5 of the SDGs. He was the one who brought and popularized the He for She program of the United Nations. So there's a whole lot to be proud of when it comes to Suriname. Okay, I'll just also remind you that the UN Secretary General was in Suriname, and he pronounced Suriname as the carbon-free capital city in the world. This is amazing, because as you know, about 93% of Suriname is still covered in rainforest. So that means that uh, there's a huge room for development. There's a huge room for all kinds of possibilities, not to get rid of the Amazon, but to live together with the Amazon in harmony. And a lot of that can be learned from the Maroons and the Amerindians, how this can work without having to get rid of the Amazon. Uh, so a lot of knowledge is expected from you students. A lot of expectations are there on the table. So we want to make sure that you're well equipped with all kinds of knowledge that you can possibly get from all around the world. So this is a step in the right direction. Okay, so we're very excited about you starting this program. We're going to talk about some specific programmatics, but now I've given you a really large umbrella about what your purpose is, what we are doing, and who we are. So, now I will yield to you guys. You can ask Sarah any question, and Sarah can tell you about her experience and guide you exactly on how to proceed with starting the student chapter, which we are all looking forward to, because once you have done it, we will celebrate it and launch it in a big way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wale. Just for purposes of introduction, I know Dr. Wale has said a lot. And first, I would like to really thank Dr. Wale for that history. I'm always very moved when I hear, the African history and, the pain we've been through and how resilient we've been. And thank you for the history. Going back to the introduction, I'm Querit Sarah. Like Dr. Wale said, I'm the president African Views. And I'm very glad to be in this meeting. It's very exciting for me to know that we are having another institution on board, and we're working, to achieve the very same here in Uganda. We're trying to reach out to institutions in the country, and I and my colleague Jackie are also looking at our neighboring states. How can we bring members on board? And also generally our colleagues that we interact through different programs from different institutions and universities. So I'm very glad to be here today. And generally, I think, let me just ask my colleague, Jackie. I invited her to come here today because I've been working, I was working with Jacqueline to, register to register the African Views students chapter at the university. I can tell you it wasn't an easy process for us, but we're very determined to actually see it through. And Jackie was very, very helpful during the entire process. And I'd like for her to introduce herself and talk a little bit about how we, registered, the processes we went through at the university, and sort of give you a feel from our side, the experiences we went through to actually see to it that the students chapter was registered at the university. So I'd like to hand this over to Jackie. Jackie, you can introduce yourself and talk about the entire process. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Quickly, make sure you turn on your video, because this is an introductory event. Make sure that everybody who is speaking is on video so we get to know you. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Are you getting me now? Okay. I'll not stay on video for long because it might affect my network. it's not a very good network this side. My name is Jackie, as Sarah introduced me earlier. And then the other name is Auma Jacqueline. I'm one of the pioneers of African Views Students Chapter, Lira University. Oh, thank you. And yeah, as Sarah said, it was not easy to register. You know, it took me a lot of time. It took us a lot of time. It took us like 3 weeks. 3 weeks? Yeah, at least 3 weeks. You know, running in and out of offices. You know, we had to do a lot of editing on documents. They were sending us for documents one at a go. We thought maybe they would send us to, you know, go and bring this and this and this. But then they were sending us for one document at a time. You come in the office today and then they send you for one document. Then the following day, they tell you to go and look for another document, something like that. And these were things that we are coming up with from scratch. So I think you've seen me. I beg to turn off my video. Thank you. As I was saying, I'm going to list some of the things that that were required of us at the time we were registering the African Views chapter of Lira University. First of all, we needed to have membership. You should have a list of members. For my university, in this case, we were required to present a list of at least 30 members, meaning that we needed to have talked to some people about this even before we registered it. And also, yeah, by the way, for us, we had like I think 57. We had 57 on our membership list for our first meeting. And in this meeting, we're supposed to compile the minutes and present them because they're required also in the office for registration. So we had to have a list of members, a list of minutes from the meeting where we discussed the opening of the chapter, where people agreed and they were like, let's go ahead with this. It's a good thing. And also among these members, we are supposed to choose the committee members. So when listing the members, you say the list of the incoming committee members of Lira University, African Views chapter, something like that. Then the other thing we needed was we needed a constitution. Dr. Wale shared something earlier, the manual, and apparently that was not enough. But though the manual talks about the chapter in general, talks a lot about African views, but we needed something that was more relevant to what goes on in our university. Something that will guide us, that will do the actual guidance on ground. So in the constitution, I think we'll share it in case the other team needs it. But for the constitution, we had to have things like how long will the term of the leadership be, who qualifies to be a leader, is there a subscription fee for membership, who resolves the conflicts, things like that. There are quite a number. In fact, there are very many articles. There are over 30 articles, by the way, over 30. And this is something that we came up with from scratch together with Sarah. Also, on top of that, we needed to have a patron. And yeah, we have our patron. And this patron is supposed to be a full-time staff. The first patron we had, in fact, we had this challenge because the first patron we had was not a full-time staff. So we had to get another patron who was a full-time staff. And when we got that patron, Dr. Wala has met Mr. Ojulong, He's a very good gentleman, and we chose him because he's also doing a lot with African culture. He has a passion for promoting African culture. So we thought he would be the best fit. So these are things that you would maybe look out for when choosing your own patron. On that also, yeah, we needed, by the way, to open up an account in the names of the university. And this is still in process, by the way. We can register without it, but it's very important to have an account in the names of the university. In case of any funds, it keeps the money safe, because a university account definitely would have more security, more credibility, and it keeps all the finances safe, because with a university account, you'll have a university accountant attached to it, and it's easy to monitor. Besides that, we'll guide you more on this in case you need it. It depends also on the how your university is run. This is how ours is run. Also, I think not lastly, we needed registration fees, by the way. We had to pay, for example, for my university, we need something like $20 registration fees. And this is money that we got from amongst ourselves, and we managed to register. And then besides that, we had to write a letter directed to the Dean of Students. And that letter, it was supposed to direct it to her, requesting her to register. You know, that's the cover letter that you place on top, and then you submit. Oh yes, we had to make 4 booklets, by the way. 4 copies of all these list of members, that's approval. What else? The letter to the dean, and there is that other registration form that Dr. Wale shared. So we had to make 4 copies, print and bind. It had to, yes, and then we had to present it to the office of the Dean of Students, the legal officer, all these other offices had to have copies. So it was not really an easy journey, you know, it wasn't, but I know you guys will make it. We are here to support you. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And just another thing that I wanted to add to that is that I think for every institution it's different. You know, because like, for example, we've been talking to colleagues from a university next to our university, and they're telling us that they have a completely different procedure. So I think where you guys can start from is you need to start asking maybe the associations that you have, or the chapters that you have at the university, or any club or association that is legally registered within your institution. You can start by asking how they handled the process of registration, and that can be of help. And for now, we are welcoming any questions. We'll be very glad to answer any questions from your side.
You know, before Ebony or anyone else speaks, I want to first commend you guys. I knew you went through something, but I had no idea it was such excruciating experience. You are heroes. Thank you so much. This is amazing. Corita, Oma, you guys are heroes. Thank you very much for being tenacious and for going through the length and the yard for making this happen. What you have done, generations after will continue to praise you and appreciate all that you've done. I'm very proud of you. You guys are amazing. Thank you for giving these narratives It's so incredible to know that you have so tenacious to committed to make this happen, and it's just an amazing thing. This is we know what we have, right? So, and we know how it is important and why it is important, and to do what we must do. All of these challenges are there to make sure that we are honest, that we have integrity, and that we have the vision. All of the things that we had to prove anyway. So I'm really glad that you were able to do that. I'm so proud of you. You guys are our heroes. So thank you very much. Now we yield to the ADEC family and hear from everyone. Thank you. Don't forget to unmute. I guess, Ebony, you start. Also, keep in mind that in Suriname, Dutch is the official language. So, but most people speak English and they speak it perfectly. Sometimes they just a little they hold back because they think the accent is a little interesting, which is very nice. But keep that in mind. But I think this is a benefit for all of us anyway. So we'll hear from you, and I think Navali is going to speak first. Go ahead.
Yes. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm Nadine and Wanabo, and I'm one of the students of Suriname at the Anton De Kom University. First of all, I want to thank you for all the tips that you gave us. We will also, we have recorded it, so we will speak in the group with other students, and we will work with them, and we will also ask the people in the our how do I call it our students, other students at the university to join the group, and we will try our best to make this work. It's really interesting. Yes.
And let me just quickly add, Nadine, that you know the society in Suriname is slightly, it's very different, obviously,
Yeah.
from Uganda. So you have to make these decisions in Suriname as at ADEC, how you want to this is not about excluding anybody in any shape. The whole purpose, which is also in the constitution and the operational manual that I sent you, is that the focus of this is really the recognition of African values and the advancement of the African development. This is very, very, very critical. So, but anyone who supports that agenda could be welcome, okay, regardless of what that's why we have Renia. Renia is a wonderful guide for you guys. She loves you, and we welcome her in the organization, right, at the student.
Yes.
So you have people like that. So it's up to you guys to make those decisions. I just wanted to put it in there so you're not confused or shy about it. Okay? Go ahead.
All right.